The Carolina Dodge Dealers 400 on Fox is brought to you by Beechwood Aged Budweiser with the crisp, clean, and refreshing taste known only to the king of beers.
Fox welcomes you back to Darlington with Jeff Gordon, your leader over Jimmy Spencer through 110 laps. And if you want your NASCAR coverage to last all week, make sure your cable system carries the new Speed Channel, home of NASCAR TV. The old Speed Vision reborn as Speed Channel, the home for NASCAR. Call your local cable or satellite provider for Speed Channel and fill your need for speed. Jeff Hammond, as we take a look at Jeff Gordon, he's trying to snap out of a slump. He's won here 5 times, more than any other driver. But how about the points leaders coming in? 1, 2, Sterling Marlin and Ryan Newman had to start way back at the back of the pack, and they are making some moves.
Yes, they are. And we see Sterling right here. That experience, as Darrell talks about all the time, starting dead last, has worked his car all up to 4th place. Now all of that is kind of like, a wash. He's back on track where he needs to be. But my hat's really off to the 12 car and that Alltel team of Ryan Newman's, because this was a brand new race car. So they're actually doing a little bit of combination racing and testing, and they've done an excellent job of working the problems out, bugs, and making that car competitive today. And Ryan has really, showed a lot of composure and a lot of patience of racing the racetrack and giving these guys a chance to work on his car where he can have a good finish today and maintain that 2nd place in points.
And Newman looking for his first Winston Cup career victory, and Sterling Marlin hoping in the long haul for his first Winston Cup points championship. Let's go back upstairs. Mike Choi, Larry McReynolds, and Darrell Waltrip.
Newman is in the middle of the 3 rookies in the race. Shauna Robinson's car is already loaded on the truck. And let's remind you that Newman, who crashed in the last minute of practice yesterday, but because of a cut tire, not from overdriving this racetrack. Jimmy Johnson continues to impress. He's up there into 8th spot.
We need to document that our pole sitter, Ricky Craven, is back in the race. 88 laps down. Dale Jarrett, an 88 car. He's got problems. And I see smoke.
Blew up.
Now this is what happened to Jeff Gordon here last year. Gordon led a bunch of laps, but he led the first 47 of the laps, but ended up 40th in the race due to an engine.
And should it be an engine failure, remember 3 races ago at Rockingham he blew up.
I don't know. I just felt it start tightening up. I looked down, the oil pressure was gone.
If memory serves me right, that's the same comment we heard at Rockingham. No oil pressure, motor started tightening up. So 2 out of 5 races looks like Dale Jarrett has lost an engine.
Larry, another guy that came in running in the top 10 there a while ago when they had those round of pit stops was Rusty Wallace, and he's now back in 26th position. And I understand that they worked on the car. They put a spring rubber in somewhere. Like I do, if you work on that race car on a pit stop, you're going to lose a lot of time.
Yeah, I mean, a spring rubber is a good adjustment, but I want to try a lot of other adjustments I can do a lot quicker than that, like wedge or track bar, things like that. It takes a long time to put a spring rubber in, and we'll kind of show you what they've done here on one of our animations. Car comes in the pits. We're going to show you what happens if you put one in the right rear. You have to jack it up just like a normal tire change. There you see the spring right there. The red thing is a spring rubber. That's pulling it out. You can pull it out a lot quicker.
You need to pull them out. You don't need to be putting them in.
Putting it in takes a lot longer. Increases the rate of that spring probably in the rear 15, 20 pounds. And if they did do it in the right rear like we've done right here, it will make the car turn better on the exit of the corner, stiffens that right rear corner.
Now, if you do that in the front, the rear is fairly easy. But if you try to get down in there with all the shock absorbers and everything else on the front, that's when you run into a problem.
And all the heat.
And that's where they tried to put one, in the right front.
The hope in Dale Jarrett's pit is that he just threw the oil pump belt. That's why the car lost oil pressure and the motor started to tighten, but he continues to sit in the pits with the hood up. So apparently the problem is more serious.
Yeah, even if he lost the belt, when he says no pressure, he's lost the engine.
Well, these cars have an external oil pump. It's on the outside of the engine, and it has a belt that's driven off the crankshaft. And a lot of times, especially at a place like this where you have so much tire rubber, it'll get up there and it'll cake in, make that belt too tight, and the belt will actually break.
Yeah, it's a clog belt. It's got teeth on it. It's rubber. And the rubber off the tires will get up under there and knock it off the pump.
Jeff Gordon works past Stacy Compton for the 2nd time.
Now, I think if you look back, you'll see how far Jimmy Spencer has fallen back. Jimmy abused his car trying to stay with Jeff. That's what I figured. I thought Jeff was probably thinking, if I can stay in front of Spencer for 8, 10 laps here, I'll get away from him.
In his last 13 starts here, Gordon has 5 wins and 10 top 5 finishes. He's now led over 1,000 laps here in his last dozen or so races.
Give us a reading on your car when you can.
Sterling Marlin in that 40 car. He continues to march toward the front. This is a pass for 3rd position. Started dead last after changing that engine. You got to tip your hat. They've got a good race car.
What bothers me, I'm going to talk to Sterling. He looks like he's not working very hard in there to me. Did you notice that shot we had him? He's just kind of like, this is Darlington, man. He's supposed to be fighting that wheel. He was just smooth as silk.
Dale Jarrett's car did, Darrell, lose an oil pump belt, and it did too much damage to the internally to the engine. They're headed for the garage.
Well, remember, once that oil pump stops turning, he immediately loses oil pressure. You can't hardly catch it that quick and shut the engine off without causing damage.
Now, all the race cars I ever drove had a great big old red light on the dashboard. And when that oil pressure went down, that red light came on. Now, I don't know if they have that light or not, but that's how we would catch it sometimes.
How about this race car right here, Tony Stewart? It wasn't too many laps ago. We were talking about him starting 36 and only gaining a couple positions. He has moved up into the 9th position, but he gained 5 spots on that pit stop a while ago.
That's what we were saying. It's a very, very timely pit stop, a very, very timely caution for a number of guys, him and his one of them.
How about Kurt Busch right behind him?
Now that little guy,
sophomore season he's having.
Let me tell you, that little guy runs good here.
Yes,
Last year here, he was on pole and led a bunch of the race.
You know, it was ironic. I talked to Jimmy Finning this morning. This is actually the same car they set on the pole and led a lot of that race. Jimmy, once again, a lot like Robbie Reiser, Matt Kenseth's crew chief, said the setup from the Southern 500 in August is not working. We've had to completely change the setup. And the thing that's confusing these guys, this is the same tire combination that Goodyear ran here both races last year, so you would tend to think the setup at least be a tunable setup.
Let's get an update on Dale Jarrett from Matt.
Well, Mike, you were speculating about the oil pump out on Dale Jarrett's Ford. That's exactly what broke. Roy Gillian opened the hood, and this is what they found. The oil pump belt was broken in half. So that's going to end the day for Dale Jarrett. To Jeff Hammond. Jeff?
Matt, just so everybody at home understands, right here is the oil pump belt on the front of our engine right here. And what it does is drive this pump. It actually makes the oil circulate from down inside of the engine, back to the oil tank, back into the engine. So whenever you lose this belt, all the oil pumping system ceases to work. And when that happens, no oil in the bearings. Before too long, engine's done. Your day is done. Mike?
Thanks, Jeff. We watched Jeff Gordon open up a lead of 1.6 seconds now on Jimmy Spencer, Sterling Marlin, Elliott Sadler, and Ward Burton.
Just a little more information. That's a dry sump system is what you call it. And the oil is held externally outside of the engine, unlike a passenger car that has an oil pan. Did I tell that right, Larry?
Absolutely. Took the words right out of my mouth. Kurt Busch, he's all over Tony Stewart right here. This would be a battle for the 8th position. Kurt Busch in the 97 car.
Yep, they've passed Bill Elliott, running right there in their tire tracks. And they're closing up on Jimmy Johnson.
Now, Jimmy's been sliding back just a little bit. Dale Jr. got around him a lap or so ago.
Ricky Craven, who had been running a minus front end sheet metal, takes his wounded car back to the garage, and the pole sitter will be out of the race.
Jeff Burton in that 99 car. Remember, we thought he had a flat tire a while ago. He's back in 23rd position, just hanging on by his fingernails on that lead lap.
Yesterday, 18 cars fell out of the Busch race, and that's a record. This track is tough. Jeff Gordon 1.6 seconds up on Jimmy Spencer, then Sterling Marlin, Elliott Sadler, Ward Burton.
Ward just passed Elliott down here in 3 and 4.
So that will change 4th place.
Oh, trouble over there on the back straightaway. Who is it? It's a 19 car.
Jeremy Mayfield.
And he saves it.
Well, he hit the outside wall once already.
Caution is on the speedway.
But he saved that from being a multi-car crash.
Yeah. The 23 car got into, you see where he got in the left rear right there. The 23 car turned him, got him up in the fence. Got people racing back here. There goes Nemechek, and 30 didn't quite make it.
3rd caution of the day. And it comes out for Jeremy Mayfield.
going through turn 2.
Oops.
Hut Strickland in the 23 coming up off turn 2. Almost the same thing we saw with Steve Park, but at the other end of the racetrack earlier.
You know, Jeremy was leading this race here a year or two ago and had a huge lead, and the same thing happened to him off turn 2 over there.
There's another look.
And trust me, folks, these guys, they're not driving into the side of each other on purpose. It's just the nature of this racetrack.
Knowledge. You got to know when you can put that nose up there and when you can't.
Around she goes.
And both those drivers will have a lot more knowledge about what to do next time they come here. Maybe next time Jeremy will lift up and let 23 car go by. Maybe next time 23 car won't try to pass it.
Pit road is open and busy again for 4 tires. Matt Yoakum.
Ward Burton slides to a stop. There he came on the radio, so the car is pushy loose. They were going to make a wedge adjustment, then they call back, so no, let's go the other way on the wedge. So this will be a 4-tire change. Let's go up pit road. To Steve.
Well, Matt, Jimmy Spencer's in. They're not going to make any chassis adjustments to this number 41 Dodge. He said, I won't work the tires as hard on this run. Darren Wolf is the front tire changer. Mark Olson on the rear tires. It's Spencer Services done to Dick Berggren.
Gordon is in the midst of a 4-tire change on car number 24. This car is so good, they were going to replace the tires with the same air pressure they had. No adjustment. He will be first out of pit road again.
Ward Burton, boy, he gets an attaboy. If Burton hadn't lifted to allow Spencer to come up into that outside lane, they would have collected Sterling Marlin as Marlin came out of his pit, and Marlin and Spencer would both be done. So there's my hero of the moment right there. That just averted disaster. It is so hard trying to get off this pit road, maintain the speed limit, get out of your pit, get in line in a hurry. Close quarters here at Darlington.
All right, guys, this is where it's won and lost right here. I know it's early in the race. Jeff Gordon at 24 bunts. That's what they're supposed to do. But look at this group right here. Comes in 6th, go out 2nd. That just makes that driver feel so good to know his crew did that for him.
Yeah, and he's pretty good on new tires. I mean, he runs like crazy for about 10, 15 laps, and he starts to slide back. But he's going to give Jeff Gordon a run for his money right now.
Tony Stewart right there. That's another one. They did their job. Comes in 9th, 7th. Those guys been picking him up positions all day long in the pits as we're ready to go green.
Third caution period of the day cleaned up.
Ready and green, green, green.
Mike Skinner's going to try to race Gordon down in there, but he let him go. Slid up. He's going to give Junior some room there.
Oh, Elliott Sadler's got a run. Almost got in the back of Spencer there.
I think that's the 4 car kind of caused him to break his momentum a little bit and gave Elliott a run on him.
Jimmy Spencer jumped up back in the gas. Looked like he had to get on the brake in the middle of the corner to keep from hitting Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Now, in the last restart, Spencer ran the first 10 or 12 laps really hard, trying to take the lead from Jeff Gordon. And then he slid back a bit. Let's see how Spencer works on this restart.
Boy, Gordon must have a whale of a car today, guys, because he just drove. Look at it. In one lap, he just drove off and left everybody.
Jimmy Spencer doing what he's done right after every pit stop, right down on the bottom of that racetrack. But Darrell, I think that abuses those tires down there digging on the bottom.
Well, and it bogs the car down so badly. You come up off that corner where the wheels turn hard left, and he just kills the horsepower.
Watch 99 Jeff Burton and 23 Hut Strickland on this restart. Pow!
Wow, that was on the restart. Jeff Burton trying to get up to the top of the racetrack because that's where you need to enter turn 1.
Had bad timing.
Yes. All right, Gordon leads by 1.2 seconds. He's opened up a big lead in a hurry, Matt.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. trying to hold on to that 2nd position, and Tony Eury Jr., his cousin and car chief. You guys have battled your way into this, Tony.
Yeah, we're having a pretty good day today. Junior's really driving a nice race. We made a couple of chassis adjustments last night we thought would help out, and the car's just a little bit off of what Gordon is right now. We just told Dale Jr. we ain't never been in this position here, so we just told him to run his race, and we'll see if we come out with a top 5.
Remember, Dale Earnhardt Jr. has never scored a top 10 finish in a Winston Cup car here in Darlington.
Well, Matt, Jimmy Spencer likes his race car. They made no chassis adjustments on the last stop. They did go a half pound trying not to make any mistakes. I'm having just a little bit of a porpoise effect in turn 2. Dick Berggren.
In 1996, Elliott Sadler came to NASCAR's big league in the Busch Series. He had a volunteer crew, 1 car, 1 motor. Today, he is a legitimate contender with a shot to win here at Darlington. The car was loose everywhere on the speedway. He radioed in and told the crew, do what you need to do. They changed the track bar. They sent him out 4th. He had come in 5th. Have a good day.
And Darrell, what they did to Jimmy Spencer, I know a half a pound of air don't sound like much, but the softer you can get the spring rate of the car here, the better it's going to grip the racetrack. Well, you can't change springs, but as you take air pressure out of those tires, that softens the spring rate. What you want to do, you don't want to take so much air out that the car really worms around on low air pressure right after a pit stop on the start of a green flag run.
Well, I think at a half pound tells you what a fine line you're walking between being really, really good or going all the way out of the ballpark.
Jimmy Spencer's lap times right now identical to Jeff Gordon's. But Gordon scooted away on that restart and built up a 1.7 second lead.
Guess what? If Jimmy Spencer speeds up, Jeff Gordon will speed up. He seems to have it. He just seems to have it going that way today.
Gordon's owner, Rick Hendrick, with 7 victories here at Darlington. Among active owners, trails only the Wood brothers and Richard Childress, who've each won here 8 times.
We'll look at our Fox tracks here. This is the interval between Jimmy Spencer and second. Jeff Gordon leading the race right now, holding at about 1.9 seconds. That pretty much backs up that they're running the same lap times right now, about a 30-80. Pretty even all the way around the racetrack. Right in there, 1.9.
Yeah, and those times will fall off as they go along here. Pretty soon they'll be running 32.80. So he drop off about 2 seconds in the period of a run.
Actually, that lap, Jeff Gordon ran 30.77. Spencer run 30.90, about a 1/10 difference.
And you know, down there in the garage or in the pits, you don't see that so much. But standing up here, boy, you see 2/10 in a hurry.
I tell you, the guy that just keeps marching on started back in 36th position, Tony Stewart. There he is in that 20 car. These guys keep picking him up positions on pit road, but he's got a good race car, Matt Yoakum.
He certainly does, Larry, and especially to make it all the way back from 36. 2 stops ago, they made an air pressure adjustment and a track bar adjustment to help with the forward bite, and it has helped. Tony reported in, though, that after that lap 91 pit stop at lap 127, it started to give up. So they made a wedge adjustment on this last stop. Tony told me on Friday that he's won a Daytona and a Budweiser shootout. He won a 500 lap at Bristol in the night race, but he would love to have a Darlington victory on his racing resume. This is a special place for drivers.
Now, forward bite's not something that your dentist can fix for you. What that is when you go to put the throttle down, the rear wheels won't hook up, and you have to keep pedaling that throttle pedal till you can get that forward bite, or the car gets grip up off the corner with the rear tires.
Jerry Nadeau and Mark Martin.
Mark Martin, you know, he came in here 4th in points. He has 3 top 10s this year. You know, he's just quietly back there doing his job right now. But you know what? Mark Martin pretty much owned this place in the Busch Series, won 8 races here, and he's all the way up to 15th position after starting in 31st.
All right, we've just taken the crossed flags, which indicate halfway in the Carolina Dodge Dealers 400. Here's our Coors Light halfway recap. Ricky Craven started out on the pole, but got swept up in a wreck when Steve Park crashed while trying to lap Stacy Compton. Jeff Gordon took over the lead and has led every lap since. So we're at lap 149, just past the halfway point.
Had a car coming down pit road, looked like a 30 car is back in.
Jeff Green.
Having a pretty good go of it there for a while, but something's happened to his car because he's made a couple of unscheduled stops.
See a routine 4-tire change. Matt Yoakum.
Well, Larry, the problem for the 30 team, 2 stops ago when he pitted, he left, he lost 5 spots on pit road, but then the problems really started in. He said, I've got a vibration. He finally had to come back in. They found out they had loose lugs on the left rear, and that has just started the problems for Jeff Green. Now they've got some other problems. They're looking at the studs. They're going to replace a stud. But boy, a tough day for Jeff Green.
And with the loose lug nuts, it probably just wallowed the threads off of one of the lug studs. And NASCAR says you have to have 5 lug nuts, which means you'd have to have 5 good lug studs.
Jeff Gordon's lead over Jimmy Spencer now 2.3 seconds. You're at Darlington watching NASCAR on Fox. Tonight on Fox Sports Net, you're going to go all access with Johnny Benson on NASCAR Victory Lane. And then next weekend, we go to Thunder Valley, Bristol, Tennessee.
Kids in Bristol are sharp as a pistol when they do the Bristol Stomp.
The Busch Series and Winston Cup practice on FX Saturday. And then next Sunday, it's a full day of NASCAR on the Fox networks. NASCAR This Morning, NASCAR Winston Cup Racing presented by UPS here on Fox, and the NASCAR Victory Lane all access again next Sunday night from Bristol.
I get all the drivers lined up on the front straightaway at Bristol and do the Bristol Stomp.
Jeff Gordon,
we're going to give you
3.2 seconds. 3.2 seconds.
Next week, boys, I'll tell you, you'll have to hold my hand. I'll be a little edgy.
Jimmy Spencer, Earnhardt Jr., Sadler, and Marlin are your top 5. 2 Chevys, a Ford, and 2 Dodges.
This is one of those, oh, by the way, Jeff Gordon's leading the race. I don't know where he is. He done left everybody behind.
Darrell, I believe Jimmy Spencer learned a lesson this time before this. You know, he knows he overdrove that race car and abused those tires, and he settled down a little bit. Started looking like he wanted to do it there at the beginning of this run, but kind of settled down.
Sterling Marlin up to 5th. He passed Ward Burton. Here's a look at it.
A couple of Dodges racing each other. Now that's smart Darlington racing right there. Sterling's faster. Ward lifted on the straightaway. Let Sterling go.
Cannot run side by side. You can, but you're going to be 2 seconds slow.
You see the smart guys. They do it all day long. They lift on the straightaway, let you pass them before you get to the corner.
Jimmy Spencer riding second. Let's go down to his pit, Steve.
Mike with crew chief Doug Randolph. Doug, is there any adjustment you can make to this car in the closing part of it to catch that 24?
Well, this Target Dodge is running really good today. Gordon's off the top. We're making some slight adjustments, trying to make the car last for a long run. There's a lot of races left. We might have something for him at the end.
And good luck to Bernie Bergeron.
The last time we saw David Bryant, he was leaving Rockingham Speedway on the back of a gurney, a front tire carrier for car number 48. He was struck on pit road, broke his ankle, broke his leg. How you doing, bud?
Doing pretty good. A whole lot better than a couple weeks ago. Just like to thank everybody at Hendrick Motorsports and Lowe's, and especially all the fans for the support.
Glad to see you back. To Matty.
Well, Dick, Ward Burton has dropped to 6, and DW was talking about how he let the 40 car go. Reason being, Ward came on the radio, said the car just will not turn in the center of the corner. Whatever you did on the last stop, put it back.
Let's pick up the 3rd place battle. Just ahead of Ward, Earnhardt Jr. with Elliott Sadler, and Sterling Marlin is there.
I mean, I've been watching the moniker 31.57. That's what Sterling's been running. That's about 3/10 quicker than Jeff Gordon's out there running leading this thing.
But you know what, Larry, the thing about Gordon's car is it's good on the restarts, it's good on the short run, and it's also very, very good on the long run. So he's got the best of both worlds right now. These other guys seem to be backs and forth.
Here comes Jeff Green. Remember, he's on fresh tires after that unscheduled green flag pit stop.
No substitute for fresh tires. They lost about 6 additional laps under Green changing those lug studs.
There is the gap. Sterling Marlin to our leader, Jeff Gordon. Pretty constant right there at 4.5 seconds. That's coming down a few hundredths here and there.
Well, I always like to use the start-finish line as my point of reference. Now, here comes Jeff off of turn 4. He's at the start-finish line now, and Sterling's coming off of turn 4 now, so that's how far behind Sterling is.
That's how you let the driver know where he is versus the leader.
What's going on. Leader's at the line now, and then the driver knows where he is, because a couple of 3 seconds doesn't mean a whole lot to a race car driver, except he's slow.
Tell Jimmy Spencer, Earnhardt Jr.'s there now.
Exactly.
Right now.
Yeah, don't look back, but. And Junior's car has gotten better. They've done made some good adjustments on that car, because he was sliding back after several laps. He looks like a little more consistent. Here comes a 40 car. He's just going by Spencer. Spencer, I believe, let him go by.
And Junior tucked in behind Jeff Green, who's on those 4 fresh tires.
Elliott Sadler's going to go by Spencer. I guess Spencer's going to follow the back of this pack and ride a little bit.
And just remember, Sterling Marlin's Jimmy Spencer's teammate. The last thing Jimmy wants to do is hold up his teammate Sterling if he's that much faster than he is.
Now Gordon is going to start catching up to the back of some of these, the field actually, and he's going to have to start working traffic. That could play into the hands of these guys running second, third, and fourth. Because even when you got a good race car here, you don't just drive by people.
Now, Darrell, we saw Junior go into that turn and tuck the left front down on the flat on purpose, not because there was another car there. He just drove it down and then slid up.
Well, there's a little grip down there for you, and plus you get that left front fender. If you're following somebody, you want that left front fender down there in clean air, but mainly you want that left front tire down there digging on that flat.
If you can get a little bit of air on that left front corner, that helps the front downforce and help that thing to turn when you're following someone when you've lost all your front downforce.
Sterling Marlin started last. After an engine change following yesterday's final practice, he has marched his way into the front three. It's Jeff Gordon by 4.4 seconds over Dale Earnhardt Jr., then Marlin, Sadler, and Spencer.